introduce myself first, and I'm Kim Dixit, the CEO and co-founder of the Red Pen, which is an education consulting company based in Mumbai, and we've been operating out of Mumbai for the last 9 years. We do support families and students in making choices and understanding the application process for undergraduate admissions, just like we're talking about today. But we also do so for boarding schools, MBA, and even postgraduate studies. So if you know, that's what we kind of do in our office. We have a team of people in Mumbai and other people working remotely, and everyone working remotely right now in our office. From really varied backgrounds. And my partner Namita Mehta is here joining me tonight, so that I can kind of, get all your questions answered, and she's kind of supporting me. So Namita, anything I'm forgetting to say before I introduce?
I think we're good. We can start.
Okay, great. Okay, so this evening I would like to introduce Rashmi Anand, Senior Admissions Advisor from Emory University, and Elena Wandzilak, Senior Assistant Director of Admissions at Washington University in St. Louis. They will each give a presentation of their universities, and then we will have some question and answers, some that we've put together and some from the audience. But like I said, our objective is to get everybody's questions answered. So I guess I will let you take it over, Elena.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully that will work. Fantastic. So yeah, hi, my name is Elena. I'm a Senior Assistant Director, like Kim said, and I work at Washington University in St. Louis. We are a medium-sized research institution in St. Louis, Missouri, which is right in the middle of the United States. And I actually want to start by talking. I'd like to go to my next, there we go, a little bit about the city of St. Louis. So St. Louis is a really vibrant, unique, and growing city for our students to explore. So we are located, as you can see with this star in our campus, about 7 miles or about 15 to 20 minutes drive from the downtown space in St. Louis. St. Louis is about 3 million people in a metro area, so a nice medium-sized city in the US. And we have lots and lots of neighborhoods and places to explore. I think that's a great benefit of WashU is the city of St. Louis. So about 79 distinct neighborhoods for students to explore, everything from, of course, that downtown space if you're looking for internships or jobs post-grad, or just professional sports teams or concerts or really good food, but lots of other great cultural places and museums and parks and things like that. So a really great city for our students to get out and explore. We have an airport in the city of St. Louis, Lambert International Airport, that's only about 15 minutes west of our campus, so really easy to get to the city of St. Louis as well. We want our students to get around the city and explore, and so we give all of our students free access to the metro system. So that's our train system in St. Louis, as well as our public bus system. So as a student, for all 4 years and summers, if you're staying in St. Louis, you can really get out and explore and see the city, which I think is a great plus. A little bit about our campus community, and I use the word community because that's really what we think of ourselves when we talk about WashU. We're a community first and foremost. Our unofficial motto of the university is to know our students by name and by story. And that's really core to the way that we do education at WashU, how we have advisors paired with our students, both for a 4-year advisor, as well as major, minor, pre-professional, research, career, study abroad. Anything you do on our campus has a faculty member or staff member who works with you on that project. And just how our students think of themselves. They really like to ask big questions of each other and to be kind and supportive members of the community, and to be a really great kind of resource and sense of belonging for our students. So you'll see up on the screen here some more information about who those students are, some data and things like that. And diversity and inclusion is really important to us, that students are coming from all over the world and bringing their different backgrounds and experiences, but that once they're on our campus, they feel really included, that they can really share those experiences and talk about the things that make them different or similar, or just ways that they want to learn. A little bit about our academic experience. We have 5 undergraduate divisions that our students choose from when they apply to the university. So the largest being the College of Arts and Sciences. So any of the liberal arts that you may want to study in college, anything math, science, history, language, anything like that falls within the College of Arts and Sciences. By far, as you can see by this graph, the largest division on our campus. We also have 4 professional schools, our McKelvey School of Engineering, our Olin Business School, and then our College of Art and our College of Architecture. The latter 2 fall into our Sandbox School of Design and Visual Arts. And those are all of our professional programs. So for students that want to become an engineer or an artist or work in business, will find themselves in one of those 4 schools. You do apply directly into one of our 5 divisions on campus, and that's your home base. So it will determine what your degree requirements ultimately are while you're on campus. But what we love about our campus, and what our students especially love, is that you have the great flexibility to study across different divisions. You can have majors in different divisions. You can have multiple majors within one division. About 80% of our students have more than one program of study. So it's really common for students to be combining something like business and art, or poetry and physics, if that's something that interests you. So we really see that students are able to make some intentional connections with what they're learning, or just explore different areas. There's lots of formal ways to do this. You'll see down here the Beyond Boundaries program, which is a very small program on our campus. This incoming year, we have about 50 students in the program, so definitely a small program. But it's a way for students that are really thinking interdisciplinary study is what they want to do, both while they're on campus, but also after graduation. So thinking about how to take 2 very disparate ideas and combine them. The students can enter Beyond Boundaries unaffiliated with one of the 5 divisions, and they spend their first year in a couple of different courses that are helping them think, but bringing different ideas together, how they can think about designing creativity, or the idea of aging and how we can tackle that challenge from different angles. So lots of great classes there. But again, lots of other formal and informal ways for students to have that interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary study on campus. Some other things that our students can do while they're on campus, lots and lots of co-curricular experiences and things that we think are similar to our curricular experiences. So things like community service. About 75% of our students do community service or engagement throughout their 4 years, so really popular for our students. Lots of entrepreneurship going on in the city of St. Louis, but also on campus. So some of our students will even own and operate their own businesses through our student entrepreneurial program, which is the picture in the bottom right. Lots of research, like I mentioned in the very beginning. We're a tier 1 research institution, so if you're interested in doing research at an undergraduate level, it is here for you. No barriers to doing research on our campus. So everything from science research, which you see up here, all the way through business and English and art research is happening on our campus. And then finally, if you're interested in doing another global study, not just coming to the United States for school, but you want to do another study abroad trip, we have over 100 different programs for students to choose from. So lots of things to do. And then just a little bit more about that campus community, over 400 student groups for you to choose from. So everything from varsity athletics to performing arts, to cultural groups and academic groups. Like I mentioned earlier, lots of community service on our campus. So really, really active student life. Our students like to be together. They like to be in clubs and teams and groups, and trying new things or doing things that they've done for a really long time. So really, really active place with lots of great traditions and things like that. And finally, just a little bit about our kind of admissions process. We have a holistic admissions process. So everything you see up here are factors that we're considering when we are looking at applications for students. So everything matters for us in a really good way. So not one thing is way more important than something else. And we really like to see who you are as you're in your community now. So kind of what you've taken advantage of in your school community. So what that transcript looks like, what sort of classes you're taking, how you're doing in those things, and how you've set yourself up for success in the future, but also all of the other parts of you. So your letters of recommendation, your extracurricular activities, your essays, anything like that is really important to us. That name and story philosophy carries through to the application process. So when we're choosing students who are going to be fantastic members of the WashU community and our alumni community, we look for all those great pieces of you now in order to do that the best. Cool. With that, I will turn it over to Rashmi, and I'm happy to answer any questions later about WashU.
Thank you, Elena. So Rashmi, it's up to you now. I mean, are you able to share your screen?
Yeah, I can go ahead and do that. Elena, perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, are y'all able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. Okay, so as Kim mentioned, my name is Rashmi Anand. I am a senior admission advisor at Emory University. We are located in Atlanta, Georgia, so in the southeastern part of the United States. This is just an overview of our Atlanta campus here, and you can see that the skyline of Atlanta is in the background. So we're not quite in the midtown or downtown area of the city of Atlanta, but about a 15-minute or so drive from that area. Oops. A little bit of a glitch here. Okay, so let's back up a little bit and talk about what really makes Emory such a unique place to be a student. So in my mind, I really see Emory as one of the most inclusive and diverse higher education experiences that students can have in the US and even globally today. So this is really a place for our undergraduate students where ideas, philosophies, thoughts, they flow freely. It's a place where our students are at the forefront of making discoveries that are impacting the 21st century. And it's a place where our faculty members really encourage our students to take charge of that. So that's something that you'll see is very pervasive through the Emory community and the Emory philosophy. So I even think a little bit about our current situation today and COVID-19, the work that our faculty members, our students are doing, our researchers are doing. It's very much at the forefront of tackling this global pandemic. So this is a community of change makers at Emory. We are a pioneer in generating new knowledge, generating new technology, whether that's in social work, whether that's in medicine, healthcare, business. That's really what Emory is known for. So backing up a little bit, if we talk about Emory, sorry, I think my screen may have cut out for just a second here. Are you all able to see this still?
Yeah, we can see that. I can see it.
Okay, I apologize for that. So one of the things that we really like to spend some time focusing on at Emory is the multiple different educational pathways through the institution. So you can think of Emory University as really being this larger overarching umbrella term. There are multiple different divisions under that Emory University umbrella. Some of those are graduate divisions or professional divisions like the School of Medicine or the School of Public Health. And then we actually have 4 different undergraduate divisions at Emory. And those are Emory College of Arts and Sciences, which is actually our campus located in Atlanta. Emory College is the one that we saw at the picture at the very beginning of the presentation. And then you also have Oxford College of Emory University, which is our original historic founding site of the institution. And it feels a little bit more like a small private liberal arts college. So about 75% of every single graduating cohort actually begins their Emory University career on the Emory College campus, and about 25% of every graduating cohort begins on the Oxford College campus. Regardless of which campus you choose to begin at, you have access to all of the resources that come with being a part of Emory University, and you're always part of this amazing institution. Our students are really at this point of transition between sophomore year and junior year, and it's really based on what it is that you want to study. All of our students that begin on the Oxford College campus go on to the Emory College campus, or the Atlanta campus, I should say, and join their junior and senior cohort members on the Atlanta campus. But our students move into one of 3 divisions at the junior and senior level based on what it is that they want to study. So if you know that you want to study marketing, you want to study business with a concentration in marketing or finance or entrepreneurship, then you will continue on into the Gosweda Business School for those final 2 years. If you know that you want to study nursing, then you'll go on into the Woodruff School of Nursing for those final years. All other students will automatically matriculate onto Emory College of Arts and Sciences. So it really depends on the type of environment that you're looking for in years 1 and 2. That'll determine which of the 2 undergraduate colleges you may choose to start at. Emory College feels a little bit more like that medium-sized research institution. It's about 15 minutes away from the downtown, midtown area of Atlanta. You've got the mentorship of juniors and seniors on that campus. Oxford College feels a lot more like that small private liberal arts college community with a wonderful, wonderful world-renowned teaching faculty located on that campus. You'll notice that gold bar does not extend into junior and senior years, and that's because all of the resources that are physically on that campus are optimized for students within the first 2 years. One of the things that we definitely are known for at Emory is student research, as I was saying earlier. I've had the privilege of working with many great students that have been involved with research at Emory. And I think that there's always this idea that research must take place in the natural sciences or in a STEM field, and that's something that Emory does not believe in. We definitely see our students and encourage our students to be researching in all different academic areas. So you'll see students that are doing research in economics or in political science or Arabic or religion. That's all very, very common for an Emory student. But what we see is that common thread linking all these different areas of study together is that the student is driven by their own innate curiosity. And so that's where we really see our students taking charge and being at that forefront of the knowledge creation. So this is actually what one of our students, Kenny, who is a senior, and he's been doing research in Parkinson's since his very first year on campus. So this really strong sense of engagement that is very inherent to the Emory space is present inside the classroom, but it's also very much present outside of the classroom. So it does, this rating here, the #1 student quality of life, was given to us by the Princeton Review in 2019, and it's definitely very exciting for us, and it's something that was given based on our student responses. But what I will be honest with you in saying is that it doesn't mean that our campus is perfect. There's still areas of improvement. We know that, we're working on that, but what that does mean is that this is a physical space where our students and faculty members are actively seeking each other out. It's a space where diversity is celebrated. It's a space where creativity is encouraged and flourishes in all of our classroom and performing arts environment. So that's really what we mean by that #1 student quality of life. It also means that our campus is incredibly diverse, and it's a place where no two people are going to be quite the same. Every single person that you meet on the Emory College community, in the Emory University community, is going to come from a different walk of life somewhere across the globe. And that's something that's very, 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 very core to who we are as an institution. Campus Life actually did a survey last year where they asked our students to describe what the typical Emory student looks like, or who that typical Emory student is. Very common terms included hardworking, smart, curious, caring, compassionate, empathetic. And what we found was about 50% of the qualifiers that were used were, yes, focused on that academic and intellectual piece, but then the other half was completely focused on this idea of a student that is very much part of that community, and they're very much wanting to be oriented in that direction. One of the things that I really love, as I mentioned earlier, is the diversity of our community and the diversity of the student campus. By diversity, I'm not just talking about things like race or religion, but I'm also talking about things like socioeconomic background. Like I said, all of our students are coming from all across the globe, all walks of life. Here's just a quick snapshot of where our students are currently from, and this was as of last year's incoming class. So we do continue to have students that are from new countries every single year. So it's a really great chance for when you're on our physical campus to meet students from everywhere and from every corner of the world. We are also the #4 university in the country in terms of economic diversity of our students. That's something that is really important to us, is that we are making Emory a accessible university for our students. I mentioned at the beginning of this that we are located in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta is an extremely global city. So if you're just looking at this screen and you recognize any of these companies here, then you are thinking of Atlanta. So these are just some of the companies and nonprofits that have headquarters within our city. We are a national leader in terms of Fortune 500 and 1,000 companies that are physically located in the city of Atlanta. This also means for our students that you have access to all of those internships and all of the resources that come with having Atlanta be there. So just to put things in scale, about 1/3 of the world's credit card transactions every single day come through the city of Atlanta. So it's very much this economic powerhouse in the US. So I always think of it as sort of the place to be as a college student right now. We are a city of college students. There's about 60 different colleges and universities that are located in the metro Atlanta area. So this does mean that with all the Fortune 500 and 1,000 companies that are located in the city, it does make us the #1 place for availability of undergraduate internships. And then of course, affordability, which is very important to all of us as college students. And the last thing that I'll touch upon here is a holistic review. As my colleague at WashU, Elena, mentioned, Emory also uses this holistic review process. It essentially means that there's a number of different components that we look at when we assess our admission decision for you. I would say arguably the most important of these components would be your academic preparation. I would say central to the entire process for us at Emory is that academic preparation piece. However, it's going to be equally partnered with those non-academic pieces. So things like looking at your personal statement and using that to understand whether you are funny or engaged or a super serious person or you're a class clown. So we're trying to use both of those, the academic pieces, but also your personal attributes and your personal qualities to make that admission decision together. Because at the end of the day, what we're looking for when we're thinking about the students that we want to join our community are students that they feel very Emory. And the reason that they feel Emory is because they are wanting to go out into the world and solve problems. They're the ones that are intellectually curious and they're engaged with whatever their own ideas are, and they're seeking out new knowledge in the world to help feed those and shape those ideas. So that's a little bit about our review process here. And with that, I'm going to actually turn it back over to Kim.
Great. Thank you so much, Rashmi. That was also a really sort of great presentation of the highlights of what Emory has to offer. So I think with that, I will go back to share my screen and ask you some questions that we have prepared. Great. So, and give you a chance to both answer these. And I think, that'll try to give us a bit of a full picture. And yeah, so the first question I have been asking everyone tonight, and I think you guys, maybe didn't address this because you were, you wanted to kind of cover everything. And so specifically about the situation and next year's applicants, I think the majority of students who we have on these webinars are 11th graders who are planning to apply next year, and they really want to understand better how the evaluation of applications might change in the coming year. If you may not know, and will you be giving paying more attention to certain things? Are you are things like demonstrated interest going to become more important? Are things like recommendations or even interviews going to become something that you will consider differently or with more weight than in the past? And specifically, I think, can you just both remind us if you are going test optional and for how long? So Rashmi, you want to answer that first?
Yeah, I can start. So in terms of special things that we'll be looking at for our international students, I think that for the most part, our review process is going to remain the same. We are going to continue to be guided by those same core principles that I shared earlier as a part of our holistic review. Demonstrated interest has not been a part of the Emory application for many years now, and it will not, as far as I know, it's not going to be taken into consideration moving forward either for us at Emory. What I will say though is that for our international applicants, what we are looking for are going to be students that when they're coming to the Emory community, and this is not just in a year that's affected by COVID-19, but for any year with us, are students that are going to really, really want to get engaged with the campus, with their peers. They're students that want to come into our space and become leaders in whatever the area is that they're excited about, whether that's economics, whether that's political science, whether that's art. Those are the types of students that we're really excited about it at Emory, and that extends into our international student body as well. There's nothing in particular I would say that we are especially looking at with our international students this year. One thing that we will, I think we're going to be mindful of moving forward is, are students going to physically be able to come to campus? That's always going to be a concern for us now, I think. Are our students going to physically be able to come to our campus? And if not, how are we able to deliver that Emory experience to them without that?
All right. And Elena, would you like to say anything about how you expect your holistic admissions process to change, if at all?
Yeah, so like Rashmi, I don't foresee there being big changes in terms of our review process. Still looking for the same types of students that are successful on campus and going to bring all those great qualities to WashU. I'll say that we do track demonstrated interest in our process. We have really and will continue to expand what that means. So demonstrated interest for us has always meant it's an email to our office. It is if I'm ever going to get to meet you in India. It is if you're able to come to the campus. But it really has expanded. It's not just a campus visit anymore. And as we've done way more virtual programming and we're looking to expand our virtual opportunities this summer and especially next year, those things would also factor into that demonstrated interest that we're talking about. So really any way that you are doing research on WashU, that you are interacting with us, it's an email to me, anything like that for us would be brought into that demonstrated interest piece. In terms of our testing policy, we started last year a flexible testing policy for international applicants. So any sort of predicted IB scores or A levels or end of course exams, things like that can be used in lieu of an SAT or an ACT. There's a whole breakdown on our website about kind of what those differences can be. So we know that students are especially anxious right now with a lot of the testing sites being canceled worldwide. We know that that's been an issue in different places before this year. So we're working to make sure that those testing opportunities are available to our students. I think the other thing that I just have been stressing to as I can is that we know right now that students are not able to do all the same sort of clubs or sports or activities or just community involvements, things that you may have to do or like to do because you've been staying at home and you've been told to stay at home and you're doing that. We don't expect you to have picked up a brand new hobby or to invent something in this time. We expect you to take care of yourself and do whatever that means to you. If that is inventing something or starting an online club, do it. If it's just watching a lot of Netflix or hanging out with your family or taking care of yourself or your family members, that is what we're looking for. So I think in terms of the activity section of the application, we know that that will change in terms of what students would have been doing, especially in light of everything going on right now. So just do whatever makes you feel happy or that makes you feel a sense of peace or that you need to do, right? So just whatever you're doing, make sure that we know about it, but also don't worry too much about kind of what the differences there would be year to year.
I think that there's also, sorry, Rashmi, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say that I echo that, and I think I forgot to mention our testing piece as well for Emory. Really at this point, our plan is to have all of our policies for the 2021 application cycle in place by June. So at this time, we have no changes to announce in terms of what we're requiring in terms of testing and any changes as students are affected by COVID for testing policy. We do know that it is a very unusual year and not all of our students are feeling at peace with that yet, and neither are we. So as the situation does continue to evolve, we are making those decisions and we will have those out to you all by June.
Okay, great. And just along those lines, and I think you probably covered it, but just to be very specific, when it comes to the way that you, let's say, recalculate GPAs or, things like that, and having those 10th grade board exams, which may or may not happen this year. And I mean, do you think you'll do things like that differently, or is that probably just going to stay more or less the same? Because that's something that people are very concerned about, is they're not having their board exams and all those parts and pieces are now in a different place. So any response to that concern?
I'll say for WashU, we don't recalculate GPAs anyway for any of our students. So we're always looking at students within the context of their school. So what is offered to them, what is available. So especially with cancellations of board exams and things like that, we will know that when you apply to WashU. So we won't be all of a sudden looking for that and then confused why you don't have it, right? We know those things. Your counselors and your teachers and people that are supporting you will make sure that we know those things as well. So in terms of how actually that will affect it, we don't know yet, right? We haven't had to go through a cycle yet with not having that, but we understand those things about what you're going through, and we're being as flexible as we can with what that means for our review process. I think that's kind of core to our message always right now, is we don't know all the answers yet either. This is for all of us, but we are as flexible as we can. We're working with you. We want you to make sure that you still have all the opportunities to come to our campuses as possible, but we're going to work with you in this process to make sure that that can happen.
Great. Anything to add, Rashmi?
No, just that's a really great response. And I think Emory feels exactly the same way in terms of those things. We haven't yet had to go through the cycle without having those materials. So it's hard to tell. But what I will say is that something that we have always taken into account and taken very, very seriously is the commentary that your teachers, your mentors, all of your recommenders have to say about you. I think that is something that we have always taken into very high regard, and we will continue to do that at Emory. I know it's been a non-traditional semester for many of us, for all of us. So what your teachers have to say is to us always going to be like just really a much more indicative. It's going to be much more indicative than how you perform on a certain test on a certain day, right? When we think about the course of your 12 years in education before you even move into the college space, what your teachers have to say is based on intentional choices that you're making every single day versus how you perform on a single exam in a single sitting on one day. So for us, that commentary is always going to be important, and I think it's going to be especially important to us this year.
Great. I think that makes things very clear. Thank you. I want to move on to this next question, which is, sort of again about the current situation, and then I promise I'll move away from it. But parents are always a bit anxious and worried about sending children so far away, and this year even more so because of the unknown risks that are out there, as this year has shown us. So can you please speak a little bit about campus safety on your campus in general, and then specifically how did your university sort of respond to the COVID-19 situation and evacuating students and getting people safely where they needed to be, etc. So Rashmi, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the whole, Emory is a very, very safe campus. Both of our campuses are in these residential parts of town. So while you have access to the city of Atlanta and you can go into the city of Atlanta and you have those resources at your fingertips, surrounding the community is very residential. And our students, this is an odd sentiment, but one of the things that our students say a lot is that you can be studying across campus until 4 o'clock in the morning, and if you decide to walk back to your dorm room, the thing that you have to be most worried about is that the sprinklers will come on at night. So that's really what they're worried about when they're crossing campus. Just to give you an idea. That being said, I think our students they have a lot of common sense, and we encourage you to have that as you walk around our campuses. Students walk in groups at night, and that's something that's I think we always will encourage our students to do, but it is a very, very safe campus. Hospitals are very close by, of course. On the Atlanta campus, you have the Emory University Hospital right physically on your campus. On the Oxford College campus, the hospital is just right around the corner from campus, and we of course have student health services on both undergraduate campuses. So it's a very, very safe campus and a very safe community on the whole. In terms of COVID and how Emory has been handling that, the decision to close the university happened actually while our students were on spring break this year. So once the university made that decision, we actually decided to extend spring break by a week or so and allow students a chance to come back to campus, gather their belongings before they move to a virtual semester for the remainder of their time. For our students that were not able to physically come back to campus, we understand it happens, and we did have an option for our housing to sanitize all of their items, pack them all up, and have them shipped back to the students. We also, for our students that were physically unable to return home, which it does happen, there are students every year that aren't able to get back, or this year that weren't able to get back into their home countries. They weren't able to go home for whatever reason. Those students were able to fill out a form, request housing at Emory, and we moved them into their own physical apartment where they did not have to worry about sharing common space with another student. So it's entirely their own apartment. Students that were unable to return home from the Oxford College campus were also moved to the Atlanta campus into that apartment style housing. We were also able to set up an emergency fund for our students that for whom coronavirus really has posed a hardship, and that's for our graduate students, undergraduate students, faculty and staff members who are able to receive funds from that.
That's great. It just seems like every college is doing so much. It's really great to hear. Elena, would you like to say something?
I can. It'll be very similar to what Emory has done. Everything that Rashmi was saying was very similar to WashU. In terms of safety, our campus is very safe. We think it's important for our students to feel safe, but also to understand how to go out into the city and be safe as well. It is a city, so we always remind our students that when they're coming to a city, especially our students that aren't coming from big cities, just what that means to ride public transportation and to get around the city and to try new things, but just to have kind of common sense about being themselves in the city. We have our own police department on WashU's campus, the WashU Police Department, aptly named, and they are always around campus. So they patrol not only our campus, but also the surrounding areas where some of our upperclassmen will live if they're living off campus, or faculty and staff live in our residential areas right around campus too. So you get to know the police officers very, very well at WashU. They're just always around, and they're great. Sergeant Bob is one of my favorite people on campus. People that are working on our campus to help our students feel safe. And all the other sort of, health services and things like that around. So if something does happen, you know where to go and when your questions can be answered, things like that. In terms of our COVID-19 response, it's very similar to Emory. We were on spring break. We asked our students to stay home from spring break. We extended for a week and moved our courses online and gave our faculty time to figure out that process, since most of our classes are not online, right? We're a residential campus. So what would that look like for our students? We sent all of our students their essential items, them back to them. We did not have a time for students to come back to campus. That was not what was advised by our leadership, and especially at our medical school. We're lucky to have a great medical school that's helping advise us, and in our hospitals and some really great people in healthcare that are affiliated with WashU. So as well as kind of government and kind of CDC recommendations, we also have people directly affiliated with our campus that are helping figure out what the next steps should be. We have a great committee right now figuring out what semester will look like, what next year will look like, and making sure that it's not only the health of our students, but the health of the entire greater St. Louis community and the world community, that we're making decisions that are going to impact people in the good way. So I think there's a great committee kind of working on what that will look like for us.
That's really good to know. I think it's important to kind of reference and remind people of those resources in your medical schools and your schools of public health and all of those places that are kind of giving inputs and helping the institution kind of move forward in the right way. Because everybody thinks that it's all just kind of like coming from Washington, which thank God it isn't. Anyway. All right, so I wanted to just ask a little bit about, I wanted to ask this question about, if students are interested or they want to see, they're hearing a lot about, best fit and how do I find the right perfect university for me out of the 4,000 that are there and all of that. So how can they find that out about your institutions? What is the best way? I'm sure that you both, and I think you both mentioned this, there are virtual tours happening now and other online resources that are available. But besides that, do you tend to have really active and relevant social media that you would suggest students look at? And then also, along those lines, I have got some specific questions about majors. Like, I want to know, does WashU have a BSMD major? And how do I sort of access it, etc. So, and also what are the most popular majors on your campus, things like that. So is there a place specifically, do you suggest people go to the exact, department page, or what's the best way for that? So Elena, I'll let you start since I had that wonderful medical question for you.
Yeah, of course. So I think in general, to learn more about kind of student life, we do have those virtual experiences. I'm hoping to do some earlier in the morning for us, so that would actually work with you, our international student schedules this summer. So be on the lookout for that, because right now our panels run at times that unless you're going to stay up in the middle of the night, it probably won't work for you. Mm-hmm. So look for that. We do have on our website as well, our admissions website, an Ask a Student section, which has all of our current student interns, and then you can email them and ask them questions about student life. They are really happy to talk to students and tell you about their majors and their experiences and what they'd like about WashU and what they would change and all of these things. So you can definitely contact them then. And there, if you want to reach out to me, I can find other students for you to connect with. We saw, especially with our students this spring, with our students that were admitted, that was a really great way for them to figure out kind of what do students do day to day? What is the day in the life of a WashU student? Our YouTube page, the WashU Admissions YouTube page, is also right now full of webinars from the spring. We did a total, I think, of about 30 webinars for admitted students, but it is available to everybody. So information about academics, information about a day in the life of a WashU student, information about our pre-health advising program, research on campus, everything like that. So that's a really great place to start, just to give some kind of basic understanding of things, and then reach out to us to ask more questions. But yeah, the admissions website also just has lots of things in terms of majors, stuff like that. Most popular major for us, biology and computer science. Computer science for us, about 1,100 students take computer science classes here. We're only a campus of 7,000, so that's a lot of people. Biology is kind of for others. Other most popular major. And then in terms of our BSMD, we do have a dual admission program called the Emory Scholars Program in Medicine. It's an 8-year program that students can apply for. It's also non-binding and non-accelerated. So students can decide at the end of 4 years to not go to WashU Med. They can also decide not to go to med school at all. And that's okay. It is very, very selective. Incoming class normally is about 3 to 5 students. About 1,500 students apply every single year. So when we talk about USPM, I also always highlight just being pre-med on our campus means you're set up for success in the medical field after graduation. We have a 79 to 85% accept rate to medical school every single year for first-time applicants. So you're still set up for great success if you want to go to medical school. You do not have to be USPM to go to medical school and have a good time on our campus. So more information about USPM can be found on our website if you're interested, but also know that you can be pre-med and still be very successful and happy on our campus.
Okay, great. Thank you. Rashmi, would you like to talk about how to find out more about Emory?
Yeah, so we do at this time have a few virtual visits that our students can sign up for. In terms of those virtual visits, they do include the session with an advisor and all of that. But if you are specifically interested in registering for the one at Oxford College, we also have a spotlight student interaction as a part of that. So you still can talk to current students. They're still very much a part of that campus tour. So you can still get that piece of interaction with them and ask those questions. We do also have the option for you to chat with a current student available on our website too. So it's very similar to WashU in terms of that. You can find students that share your interests, are from the same place that you're from, and talk to them, or are planning on, or they're studying the same thing that you want to study, and talk to them about their favorite classes, their favorite professors. That option does exist there as well. We also have a section of our admission website that really highlights all of our major minor offerings, as well as the types of courses that are a part of each of those degrees that you can choose from. I would say our most popular majors at Emory really are also biology, but we also have a huge subset of our student population that is interested in business. English and creative writing is really, really big on our campus. And then the film studies major has really evolved and is getting a lot of attention over the last few years, especially as Atlanta right now is it's this new Hollywood for us. It's actually the #1 producer now of feature-length films in the United States. So really even over LA and New York. So you've got students that are heavily really interested in film that are actively seeking out Emory, which is really cool to see. Also with Atlanta being the birthplace of the civil rights movement in the United States, you see a lot of students that are coming to our campus to study things like political science or African American studies. That those areas of study have also really have really evolved, and we've gotten a lot of interest in those over the last few years as well. Anything else that I did not answer?
No, I think that we have, I just want to make sure that everyone understands those popular majors and those competitive majors can still, people can still kind of move. They're not so popular and so competitive that you can't sort of apply into one later, transfer in, transfer out, things like that. So it's still allowed, correct?
Emory does not admit students into individual majors. You can list an interest in, yeah, and it looks like Elena is the same way. You can list your academic interest and what you think you want to study on your application. So let's say you have a student that says that they might want to study physics, and that is great. In that student's application, we will look for evidence of that student being successful, yes, in physics when they physically come to our campus, but also are they going to be successful as a student in general on our campus? Because from our experience, you may think you might want to study physics, you'll come to our campus, maybe you'll take your first physics class, it's going to be amazing, and that's eventually what you declare as your major. But our students are in fact admitted as general studies students. Many of our students come to campus and they might have said physics on their application, they take their first physics class and they're like, you know what, this may not be for me, and that is okay. You were never formally bound to anything. So you can say, physics major wasn't so much fun, but you know what, I really liked my sociology class that I took, I think I'm gonna take more sociology classes and see what path this leads me down. Or my English class was really, really interesting. I think I'm going to try playwriting next. So you can really take advantage of that full liberal arts curriculum, because at the very core of what Emory is we're a liberal arts institution.
How many students are there at Emory?
How many undergraduate students are at Emory?
Yes.
We have about 500 undergraduate students that begin every single year on the Oxford College campus, and then around 1,500 undergraduate students begin every single year on the Atlanta campus. Of course, come junior year, the cohorts merge and everybody is physically together on the Atlanta campus. So it's around 6,000 or so undergraduate students, a little bit more than that, but then you also have all the graduate students and the Emory University Hospital and healthcare staff.
Right. Okay, someone asked that question. So I think, Elena, you, I think this question, I had something else to say, but I've just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, I'm going to move on then. Yeah, okay. All right. You guys, can you each talk a little bit about financial aid, what you offer, need-based or merit-based aid, and whether the sort of admissions process is need aware or need blind for international students? Elena?
Yeah, I can start. So we meet 100% of demonstrated need for all of our admitted students on the need-based side. That's both domestic and international students. And students will apply for financial aid alongside their application. We are need aware in our process, which for us really just means that we have a budget that we have to align our financial aid within. So we still want to admit the best and the brightest students to WashU. We just want to make sure that we're able to do that and provide for students financially. So when we're reading your application, I'm reading your application, deciding if you're a great fit for WashU, and then we do a financial aid on the other side. So need aware, but again, meeting 100% of demonstrated need for all of our students. In terms of merit-based scholarships, we do have merit-based scholarships. They are selective and competitive. Only about 8 to 10% of our students will come in with a merit-based scholarship. So I always like to just set that up. They are relatively competitive. There are some merit-based scholarships that are based on your academic area of interest. So either your academic division, or if you've indicated a major, kind of something within the natural sciences or social sciences, something like that. All students, when they apply to WashU, are automatically considered for those merit-based scholarships. Basically, your supplemental essay you write for us talks about why you want to study what you want to study. So we use that and the rest of your application to award those merit-based scholarships. And then we have 2 programs that are open to international students and a third that's open to U.S. citizens and permanent residents. And these are our signature scholar programs, and they are more community-based. They're looking for demonstration of a passion for diversity or leadership or service, or a combination of all 3. And that's our Rodriguez, our Irvin, and our Danforth program. And those do require separate applications that are due January 2nd of your senior year. And there's a short application you fill out with some short answers about kind of why you're a good fit for those programs, and reflect upon who started the programs or kind of what they serve on our campus and things like that. So kind of 2 options, both division and then community-based.
Thank you. Okay, Rashmi?
Yeah, so Emory University, we are need aware in our international process. So again, for us, that means that we have a budget that we need to stick to at the end of the day. However, our admissions process doesn't mean that we are looking at your finances on the front end. We really are taking into consideration whether you're going to be a great fit for Emory University. And in terms of financial aid, if you're an international student who knows that you need financial aid in order to attend Emory, we really encourage that you apply regular decision. So that is a really big overarching message that I want you to take away from this is please apply regular decision if you're thinking about need-based financial aid. Because we are need aware in our international process, it also does mean that there is a higher percent acceptance rate for students that that indicate that they are able to cover the cost of attendance at Emory versus students that indicate that they may need some financial assistance. That is part of the need aware process. However, what we really say to all of our international students is that you really should be applying for the Emory University Scholars Program. And I tell that to every single student that applies to Emory is please apply for the Emory Scholars Program, because it is not really any additional work on your side in order to be considered for this. All we're asking that you do is, instead of waiting until January 1st to submit your application to Emory, just submit that app by November 15th of your senior year. And a question will pop up on your application that'll say, are you interested in pursuing merit-based scholarships at Emory? Just check yes on that box. That's all you have to do. And you are automatically put into consideration for the Scholars Program. It is a selective process, but if you are awarded or if you're selected as a finalist for the Emory Scholars Program, in a typical year, we would fly you to campus. You'd be able to interact with your peers and your future classmates and all of that good stuff. And you undergo interviews with faculty and staff members. But traditionally, our students that are selected as finalists are receiving anywhere between half cost of attendance all the way up to total cost of attendance for 4 full years at Emory. And the majority of our students really are receiving that total cost of attendance. So I really recommend everyone apply for that Scholars Program. It's
merit-based or it's need-based? I'm sorry.
That is a merit-based process. The Scholars Program is, and it's just a checkbox on your application that so if you're filling out Common App, just send it in to us by November 15th. And
okay.
Optional.
Great. Great. That's good. Really good to know. Thank you. I think that clarifies the financial aid situation. So both of you, can you each talk a little bit about, how do you support sort of job readiness for international students? Because I think that's a big concern among international students, which I'm sure you've heard before. So what is the, where do you see international students getting internships? Are those translating into jobs? Do you offer STEM OPTs in certain subjects, etc.? So if you can speak about those things. And I guess we have 6 minutes left. So why don't you go ahead, Rashmi, and start?
Yeah, absolutely. So Emory does have an Office of International Student Programs or an Office of International Student Support. They're called different things on our 2 different undergraduate campuses, but they are really there to help our students make sure that they have all of the necessary paperwork for whether that's a summer internship, whether it's a part-time job, or whether that is full-time career opportunities and employment after graduation. So there are some different pathways that you have to navigate as an international student working in the United States or planning on working in the United States. So that's what they're really there to do. And that is the #1 stop that we really say, make sure you head there first. And then we also do have an Office of Career and Counseling Services on the Oxford campus. Same thing on the Atlanta campus. And for our students who are in the business school, they have their own separate career management center. And they're there to help you do everything from your first job search, setting up your first LinkedIn, preparing for interview workshops, case studies, all of those things. That's what their job really is. If you're looking for a position within a certain country or within a certain area, a certain field, they're going to help you with all of those types of challenges that you may have to navigate. So in terms of job prospects in the Atlanta area as well, because there are so many Fortune 500 and 1,000 companies located in the city, and because our students really are walking away with many internships just within their undergraduate time of study, those are often translating to full-time job opportunities, absolutely, for our students. So you'll see many of them that choose to remain in Atlanta after graduation, and between the Office of International Student Support and the Office of Career and Counseling Services, our students have those resources available to them to assist with that.
That's great. I'm going to let Elena answer the question, and then I'm getting a question. And so, Elena, you can add this on to your answer, and then I can go back to Rashmi about, can you say a little bit more about the business programs? Because I think those are always popular majors for our students. And so I'll let you start, Elena.
Yeah. So in terms of kind of jobs and internships, our answer is very similar to Emory's. We have an Office of International Students and Scholars that supports our students through their undergraduate years, but also if you're a graduate student or a visiting professor or a full-time professor, or if you're an international alumni, that is supporting our students kind of throughout the rest of their lives. You can go to them and have questions or specific international advisors that work with our students that are divided up alphabetically. So you have somebody to go to with any of your questions at any point. We do have support for STEM, OPT, and OPT and things like that, so they can work through that process. I was just on their website the other day looking up something, and they also have a large FAQ section right now, especially in light of COVID, how the students that are international on our campus right now are still communicating with them and getting help and resources and everything like that. They're doing Zoom advising hours and things like that. So all the resources and support that they would provide, they're able to provide virtually and things like that too. So I know that some of our students have been concerned about that, but they're getting their questions answered and their needs met, which is really, really good. We also have a great career center. So in terms of finding jobs and internships, and a really great alumni network that are helping our students make connections. Some of our students will stay in St. Louis for jobs and internships. We usually hire interns for the summer. Usually 1 or 2 of them is an international student. So you can work for us. But a lot of our students will go to Chicago or New York or the Bay Area. That's really common for our students major in US cities, right? That's not a surprise to anybody. But I think that a lot of our students will end up in Chicago and New York pretty much. Business program at WashU. It is the Olin Business School. It's a 4-year program, so a freshman entry, which is more unique, not as unique as it used to be, but it means that our students in their very, very first year on campus in their first semester are deeply engaged in the business school. It has calculus as kind of its core math, so especially in the high school years, looking to see some exposure to calculus. So you can take any form of calculus in high school. They like to see that. And then lots of opportunities for obviously case studies and entrepreneurial experiences, some really great kind of student-run consulting groups and things like that that are run through a business school. So some really great opportunities there. But I think what's great about it is it's that freshman entry. So in your first year, you're in a cohort of 40 students. The incoming class is usually about 160. So broken up into 4 cohorts, and you're in the same 2 business core classes with your cohort. One is kind of business fundamentals, so exposes you to a couple different areas of business that you could potentially major in down the road. And the other one just basically is case studies. So you're given in the very first weeks of the class a big problem to solve. So, target is dealing with this problem, how should they fix it, or fix Nintendo, whatever it is. And then you work the rest of the semester in a small group of 3 to 4 to put together a proposal. And then at the end of the semester, you propose your proposal to actually people from that company. And our students really, really love that experience to get to work on it from an economic standpoint, from a finance standpoint, the accounting, and then at the end have this proposal that they can present. So a really great opportunity for our students. And again, that stuff continues throughout their 4 years, but great that they can do it there in their first year.
Great. So Rashmi, I'll let you speak for a little bit about, I'll let you say a bit about Emory's business program, and then we're out of time. So yeah, I know, surprising, it goes so fast. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Gozweta Business School is Emory's business school. We're set up a little bit differently than WashU is in terms of when our students begin that actual entry into the business program, so to speak. Our students, when you're at Emory, if you'll remember back to the arrows and the different pathways there, you're beginning at one of 2 undergraduate colleges. You're either choosing to start at Oxford College or Emory College of Arts and Sciences, based on which of the 2 divisions you apply to and then which of the 2 divisions you may be admitted to. Our students in those first 2 years, if you're interested in studying business, you're still admitted as a general studies student. So you're still taking classes in a number of different subject areas, but you are going to start to take some of those business prerequisite courses. But they are very similar to the types of courses that Elena mentioned in years 1 and 2 at the business school at WashU. So taking those early mathematics courses, taking maybe your first few economics classes, right? Financial accounting, you'll take that within your first 2 years if you are thinking about the business school and if that continues to be your trajectory and your path. So there's about 5 prerequisite courses or so that you'll take within those first 2 years. What I really love about those first 2 years, if you are planning on studying business though, is that you are not just confined to a preset set of classes. You can still explore curriculum outside of those areas and still go into the business school for junior year. All of our students, regardless of which campus you begin at, if you are planning on going to Gozweta for junior year, during your sophomore year at Emory, you will complete a small application. I don't want that term application to scare anybody. It is not at all as much of a behemoth, so to speak, as the college application process. So if you are competitive for Emory, if you're admitted to Emory, you are competitive for the Gozletta Business School, right? So as long as you've taken your courses, you've done well in them, you've gotten faculty members who like you to write those letters of recommendation for the business school. The business school actually admits about 75 to 85% of the students that apply every single year. And they're only looking at students from the Emory University system, so they're not looking at sophomores coming from other colleges and universities. So you'll enter in your junior year, and that's really when you enter with this business cohort. But you already have this amazing fundamental and you've got the fundamentals down sort of in those years 1 and 2, and then a great foundation to help you as you move into that heavy business curriculum in junior and senior year.
Okay, great. We're out of time, but I'm still going to ask you both this last question because they're two. And I kind of know the answers, but do you give credits for IB subjects, and what IB averages are you looking for? Rashmi?
Yeah, we do give credit for IB courses. You can bring in a maximum of 12 credit hours to Emory using the IB coursework. We're typically looking at scores of 6s and 7s, depending on the class that you're choosing to bring in. We don't have a minimum cutoff score in terms of if you're in the IB diploma program, things like that, for what we're looking for in terms of your predicteds or anything, but we are looking to see generally a mix of 6s and 7s in the application review process. And then in the credit evaluation process, again, it's going to be 6s and 7s, but on your HLs is one caveat I should add.
Great. Okay, Elena, would you like to give that last parting word about the IB score? I'm sure that's where you
I'd love to. So yeah, ours is also 6 or 7s on on HLs. And we have a maximum of 15 credits you can bring in to WashU, which can be IB coursework. But everything else is the same.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening and your morning. And it's been really, really helpful, and there's so much information shared. As I mentioned to all the attendees, the email addresses of both Rashmi and Elena are here. And so, you know, I guess if you guys were here in person, we'd like break up into parts of the room and students would come and talk to you. So instead of doing that, they could email you their specific questions, or, you know, they're sort of expressing their interest in certain things that we can share more about. So I encourage anyone to do that. And also, okay, great. And Elena's given her personal email address there on the chat if everybody can see that. Yeah, and that's it. And thank you so much. Have a great day. And we look forward to keeping in touch with you as our students, you know, start applying.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. And we look forward to being back in Mumbai as soon as conditions allow.
Yes. Thanks.
Stay safe, everyone.
Bye.